from Ethiopia, where he went for a foreign assignment, that okay, support. So there are issues. So if this laudable policy, because it's good to mop up excess liquidity in the economy. I mean, we learned that in economics.
Even though some economists have said it's not excess in the real sense of it.
Exactly. When you compare Nigeria with other nations and
also our GDP, when you compare it with the GDP we have.
But it's now appearing like it's all about politics. And again, talking about the side effect, it may even help politicians. So if peradventure a politician has promised to come and buy your vote, that where is the money now to pay you? So go out there, I'll see you on the other side. So there are several issues.
Or some may just go for other options, let me take you on cooking for people and doing it in kind.
Let's go back into time, especially with issue about project implementation and evaluation. We heard about the trader money some time ago. The policy quite nice, especially to help traders with funding. But of course, we never saw the outcome of that project, especially with regards to the real effect that we should see. Then we talked about the Empower. Sometime, I think last year, we got a speculation of a certain individual who is a top celebrity being alleged to have misappropriated funds that should have gone to the right persons, which is also falling back to poor implementation. Now we're talking about the naira policy. In its entirety, what would you say about this administration, especially with policies and, of course, poor implementation?
Okay, now, let's compare notes. Towards 2019 election, we had traders' money. Empower them. Let the money flow. Towards 2023 election, we are having money confiscation. Trap the money. And this has political interpretations. And that's what we're saying. You talk about Empower and everything. It may amaze you at the end of the day to find out those who actually benefited from the Empower. They may still be in the elite group. You did not even mention the 744 billion or what million for palliatives. Did you see the light of the day? That money was set aside at the time we read about skills of logistics with banks and things like that. So there are issues. And Section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended stipulates that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. You see? And again, talking about project management, 10,000 naira in a society where the minimum wage is 30,000 naira per month, where electricity tariff is high, where the pump price of petroleum is high, where the price of cooking gas is high, where rent is high. 10,000 naira may just be for stomach infrastructure, because when you are talking of investment, do we have the supportive facilities? So these are suspicious moves. And some of us are saying, no, stop being palliative in engaging the governance of the country. Become substantive. Let's have sustainable development as provided for in Section 16 and from 15 downwards of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended. It stipulates that the resources should be harnessed in a way that we have a self-reliant economy. Now, we have a naira policy that is stifling the environment, so to say, in code, perhaps for the generality of the citizens. Couldn't we have exercised the same zeal to prevent the oil theft, through which we lose about $2 billion in 5 months? These are issues. So, at the point we read, spending 100 billion naira to turn around moribund refineries. You see, and this is, we are talking of a Ministry of Petroleum Resources directly under the supervision of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces as the substantive minister. There should be a revenue generation empowerment for the nation. So there are several issues, and so there are different kinds of interpretations that we can have, but by and large, we are yet to be focused on creating commonwealth for common good in Nigeria. But I can let you know the resources are there. This country has over 40 mineral resources, and I was doing a research, the world as a whole, about 40% of the resources in the world are deposited in Africa. So, I mean, God has been kind to us. I've said it, how much do we buy gas now? We flared enough gas to provide electricity maybe for a whole country, admittedly so. We have the largest deposit of proven gas in Africa, maybe the 5th largest in the world. You talk about oil, you talk about gold. I think the gold in Zamfara can end that state, if not for the exclusive jurisdiction, legislative, whatever they say, about $2 billion annually. So these are various issues. You look at how we have managed our education sector, and Section 18 of our Constitution says that the government must provide education for all citizens. In fact, I was reading a report, in the last 48 hours, that we spent about 346 billion naira in foreign education. Is it in 9 months or so? As a country. So we are empowering other economies. I mean, look at the crisis we have in the petroleum sector. Despite the passing of the petroleum industry bill into an act that we applauded, despite translating NNPC to a limited liability concern, you see, we export our crude oil to refine at a cost. We bring it back to sell at a premium. So these are issues.
Let's look at the comparison you made between 2019 and now, talking about some of the programs run by this government, especially towards the election. Some people have said it probably was because, right now they are taking in the funds instead of releasing it as they did in the previous, electioneering years, because the government of the day wanted to retain power, and they were looking for ways to, maybe embrace the people and make it. This probably wouldn't have happened in 2019 when President Buhari was still vying for a second term in office. But if you compare all of these issues, we've established the fact that it is more political than economic. But all of this, taking in the cash, some people have even said that these funds or these excess funds that they claim is in the economy is due to some of all this trader money that they were given in cash to marketers, all of this SIP, program, all of these interventions that was brought up by the same government. And so mopping it up, the people shouldn't be the ones to have to suffer when you want to mop up these funds.
But the elders have a saying, when the elephants fight, the grass suffers. But interestingly too, by the time the elephants kill themselves, the grass will grow again. And I think leadership should understand that, and if you look at our Constitution, Section 14 says sovereignty belongs to the people. It still belongs to the people, whether you punish them or not. They still own the nation. The nation, it continues. So, and I like to make reference to, excuse me, Rwanda, for instance. Rwanda was in serious crisis, and a leadership arose that said, no, we need a new trajectory. And he started rebranding the profile of that nation economically and otherwise, banish ethnicity, which is one of the things that is still plaguing us in Nigeria. We are talking about this election, no matter how you preach about ethnic sentiment, it's there. No matter how you talk about religion, we have our biases. It cannot be taken away from us. And the motto of the country that you find in Section 14 of the Constitution says, unity and faith, peace and progress. So it starts from unity. So if there is no unity, we cannot all have faith in that project, you see. And if there is no peace, we cannot have progress. So for those who want to destabilize the nation, They know why insecurity has a strong role to play. And I said it, I think in 2019 or 2020, monitoring trends, that insecurity may become a tool towards 2023 election. And this is what we are witnessing now. And when you talk of insecurity, you can activate crisis in the land. I mean, you can, you know, when we were in school, when some students have not prepared for exams, that is when you begin to hear a looter. And if some students gullibly join, school is short, you're all sent home, you know. So we've seen some of these things. And one of the things I said then is happening, that we may have a militarized democracy. Constitutionally, the military has no business with internal security of the nation.
Well, in wrapping up this issue, where do you see all of this leading to? The destruction of banks and all of that. I know you said that it will lead to distrust between the, you know, customers and the bankers. But in the end of it all, especially looking at the sports, do you see all of this going away after the elections? Absolutely.
I mean, COVID-19 pandemic went away. And that is one brilliant thing we should notice. When you are talking of leadership, I'm quick to say that we were in the days of Abacha, and it was as if Nigeria was going to become vapor. Nigeria stabilized. There was a time General Ibrahim Babangida, IBB, it was like he must continue in office even if there are 4 Nigerians left. He left. So leadership is a privilege. And that's what we are saying. And whether you like it or not, things will be documented against you. And for those who are burning banks and destroying facilities, I'm appealing to them. This is a federal government policy. You are burning banks in Sagamu. If the banks rise up to say, okay, it's not feasible for us to sustain banks in your community, and they close down, it's not all the branches that break even. So where you now trek to Ijoku to access banking services. So these are issues. But like I said earlier, input, output, impact. So a policy implemented by the federal government is now creating crisis at the grassroots. Because when you allow crisis to fester, it affects the reasoning faculty of some players. And they go out there. And the elders already said, the idle mind is the devil's workshop. So, and again, it's still out there. Despite the directive of the president that money should be released. Driving here this morning, I still saw nothing less than about 200 persons by the ATM machine of a bank. How many ATM machines are there? So how do you expect them to coordinate themselves? Bankers are afraid. Not all of them are opening. So there is an uncertainty in the land, and it is grossly unnecessary for whatever reasons.
Buhari has given a directive that money should be made available, especially to the depositors. What's the thin line there between the president giving that order and the official commercial banks allowing money to be accessible to depositors? Brilliant
question. Several times the president has given order to service chiefs to end insecurity in Nigeria. So what has happened that we still have insecurity? Why do we still have oil theft? The train between Kaduna and Abuja was attacked. The train station in Edo State got attacked after. There was Dapchi girls kidnapping. There is Kankara kidnapping. Boys. So, you see, these are issues. We have a systemic problem. Again, we don't even know who is saying the truth or who is not.
Are the bank
Central Bank may claim that we have released money to commercial banks. You get to some commercial banks, they close their gates, that they don't have money to pay to customers. Why are banks there? Is it, if you look at the brand, there is what you call your positioning in the market share. Banks want to retain customers. So naturally, they want to satisfy their customers. But in the situation where money has not been given to you, and you are now announcing that you have given money to me, what happens? People come and say, we heard on TV that the money is with you. You don't want to release it to us. So And it's still part of the project management. There is nothing wrong in swapping your currency. Change is constant. But you should have sat down to look at your population. Profile those who are really, internet services savvy. You classify them. You have professionals. You have brilliant minds. I was in the legal unit of Central Bank of Nigeria that are advising the institutions. I mean, the federal government, there are experts there. You see, you look at all these things and you know how to service the ATM, how to handle the fiscal one, and you ensure that your internet platforms are effective. That if I want to transfer money, I can transfer. So these are things that make people angry. We have not been able to measure the full impact of the poor implementation of this policy. Many people are hungry. A man phoned recently, and I say this humbly, that they have not eaten. He has about 6 persons under his care. We had to find a way to attend to that need. Not 1 person, not 2 persons. I say people are stranded, people trek. We cannot joke over this. Good idea. But how will you implement it? Has it been done before? We could have learned from India. India approached it in a fire brigade manner, and it bounced back until they introduced sense into it. So we should have come of age. We gained political independence from the UK in 1960. By now, I think if we have not overtaken UK, we should be somewhere there. You see, in our operational and governance system. But it appears as if we are still in a battle against one another. Crude oil we cannot maximize to create wealth. Gold, we fight over it. This one, we fight over it. Politics, we fight over it. There was election in the UK. Did we hear any tornado? There was election in Germany.
We have to wrap this up now, but apparently there is a lot of disconnect, especially when it comes to information dissemination, even within the CBN. But all of this has to be looked into, especially if we must find a lasting solution to this problem. We'll take a break now. Barrister is still with us, and we will be delving into another issue after the break. Stay with us.